I'ma keep it a bean. Stick to the script, every scene. This from last year, but they clean. Say to say, I'ma take something else, but it's winning team. Charlie Sheen, fam gang, the regime. I'm from Piney Green.
What's good, Shellitronnn here. You can call me Shells, and I'm back at it again with a brand new video. And today, I want to talk about Greg Olsen. Some news that came out about him yesterday, his future in the league, his future with the Panthers, and what exactly his role would be if he stayed with the Panthers next year. Now, first off, we all know about Greg Olsen. The dude's been in the league for a very, very long time now, and a real long time with the Panthers. There was a long stretch of time where Greg Olsen was the best receiver on the team. We know the kind of impact this man has had on the Panthers for a long time now, right? I think it's been just about almost 10 years, right? We know who Greg Olsen is, but we also know that he's getting up there in age. He's been in the league for like 15 years now, and the last 2 years, he's had some very serious injuries that have put him on IR and had him out of the game for a long period of time. And then we know about just a couple weeks ago, he got that concussion, and he's been out for the last 2 weeks, and he should be back for this Colts game on Sunday. But there is a lot of talk about, could this be Greg Olsen's last year? And if it's not his last year, should the Panthers bring him back? And there was some talk about that yesterday during the press conference. And this tweet came out right here from Joe Person saying, Panthers can save $8.1 million if they cut or trade Olsen during the offseason, but they would eat $3.7 million in dead cap, and they need to find a number one tight end. There's a few things here to look at. Saving $8.1 million, but then eating almost half of that in dead cap doesn't seem like it's really all that worth it. I mean, to get $4 million, you'd have to have, I guess, a couple moves in place that you know you're going to make, and you've already done the math, and there's no other way to get that money back other than to cut or trade Greg Olsen. But this second half of this guy's tweet saying, and they need to find a number one tight end, I think Ian Thomas could be that if he was given that role to start training camp, given that role during the preseason, and week one, he got all the number one tight end reps during the week. I think Ian Thomas could show he can block really good, and he can catch the ball really good in his third season in the NFL. But I don't even want to think about that right now because there's another tweet from Jordan Rodriguez saying, Greg Olsen says he would never shut the door on playing opportunities, even if elsewhere, but cites his re-signing 3 times in Charlotte, and it would be great if Charlotte is in his future. The man, Greg Olsen, wants to play. Now, if he was talking about, maybe I want to play, maybe I don't, there's some TV networks who are calling me. I could be doing, stuff in the booth, getting paid, not getting hurt. Keeping my future intact. If he was like kind of wishy-washy about that, will I, won't I kind of thing, I'd be like, all right, maybe Greg Olsen's heart isn't fully into it. But the man is saying, look, whether you guys sign me or not next year, I'm going to be playing football. And there's a couple teams in this league right now who are weak at tight end or can just use that veteran presence at tight end to really bolster up their receiving core and their blocking. And that's the biggest thing about Greg Olsen. We all know that, look, he'll probably get hurt next year. It's been, 3 years straight. I'm going to count the concussion as an injury because he missed games because of it. Not a lot of games, but still. Foot injuries, 2 straight years. The concussion here. Let's be honest, Greg Olsen is getting older and he will, the chances of him staying healthy all 16 games next year ain't really all that high. But the biggest thing about Greg Olsen is, 1, he's a captain on this team. 2, his influence look, this man Greg Olsen is part of this Panthers culture at this point. You really can't get rid of him the same way we got rid of TD58. You don't want to have that kind of veteran leadership off of the team right here. Yeah, that's not what you want. And like I said about Ian Thomas, he can grow into that number one tight end role, but having him have 1 more year with Greg Olsen is going to be extremely valuable for him and his growth and what he's going to become later on. And if Greg does get hurt, that's more time he spent behind him, more time he can learn, and he'll get the reps, I guess. But I mean, if you can learn behind Greg Olsen, that's probably one of the better things you can have for the first couple years in the league. But either way you split it, whatever you want to look at, the biggest fact does remain that Greg Olsen wants to play football next year. And if you're only going to save $4 million on the cap if he leaves, then you may as well give the man the $8 million. And if you don't want to risk him getting hurt, do what we did when we had Jeremy Shockey that year. Run 2 tight end sets. You can have Greg Olsen on the field and still have Ian Thomas playing as well. Or you can bring him in and out sometimes, because there were times this year where we completely ignored the tight end position, and that's where we're strong at. We have Greg Olsen and we have a guy like Ian Thomas who is a mismatch for linebackers. I mean, there were weeks where we only targeted Greg Olsen, twice? There were weeks we targeted him 4 times. He only got 2 catches for 5 yards. There were times he got targets, not a lot of catches, but some of those catches in the context of the game were like 3rd and longs, and they were like 5-yard completions. So not really all that helpful or meaningful kind of stats there. If we can use Greg Olsen and Ian Thomas to get mismatches and have these teams have to game plan for both tight ends, that could really help out our quarterback, whoever it is. If it's some unnamed guy, then the tight end and running back are always going to be the best friend of younger, less experienced quarterbacks. And if the team is smart and does extend Cam in the offseason, because for me, I don't want to see any quarterback playing on the last year of their deal without being extended. If we do extend Cam for at least 2 to 3 more years, Greg Olsen and Ian Thomas would be, we know Cam loves his tight ends. Look, Greg Olsen, Ian Thomas, Christian McCaffrey, and the third leading receiver in the league in reception yards on this season, DJ Moore. Come on, bro. What do you expect out of Cam Newton with all those weapons? If this team can find an offensive line for him, maybe even the defense, this team could be great. It's a no-brainer, no question for me. You keep Greg Olsen and you build and try to get other things going for you. At this point, I'm not really sure what kind of trade value Greg Olsen would have on the market. We know what he's done, but in a trade, you have to talk about what he's done and what he might do for your team in the future. I just don't think, I don't think he's not bringing in a first or second, maybe not even a third. So it makes no sense to get a 4th round pick at best to save $4 million. Greg's value to this team, to our quarterbacks, to this culture is way bigger than whatever we can get from him in the trade market, and it's way bigger than saving $4 million. If Greg wants to play next year, let the man play. That's just how I feel about it. What do y'all think? Should Greg play? Should Greg not play? Is that $4 million worth it? What do you think Greg's trade value would be on the open market right now? If Ian Thomas was given the full offseason, talking about training camp, the preseason, regular season, getting all the number 1 tight end reps during the week, could he become the number 1 tight end for this team? Could we see, Greg Olsen be that guy the first 4 or 5 weeks, and we ease Ian Thomas's snap count up each and every week till he becomes the number 1 tight end? Could that be the move? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. And you already know to do with that like button.
Cheers to you, appreciate the chance. Been told y'all I been the man. Been told y'all I had the gift. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Real ones gonna recommend. Count this as another win.